Welcome to the Digital Dreaming Off the Gridiron podcast. It's your host, Oscar Lee, and today is another Friday, but it's actually focusing on the Niners' major blockbuster move of Christian McCaffery to the 49ers, baby. So essentially, obviously, Christian McCaffrey was traded to the Niners last night. Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter reported it. Niners gave up a second rounder, a third rounder, I believe a fourth rounder from next year's draft, 2024 overall. I think is a second or third overall, somewhere for May 5th. I'm not sure, but obviously a litany of draft picks. I want to say almost like an entire draft for CMAC. And just so I just want to kind of talk about what this immediately does for the 49ers. I think instantly it makes the Niners competitive now, right? It gives them the opportunity to, compete, with the top offenses in the NFL because of obviously having C-Mac out of the backfield. It opens up the lanes, for other kind of marquee, talent for the Niners, such as Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, right? Even some guys like Went Jennings and some other supporting role receivers, and even Danny Gray now, to kind of, break loose, break free, and basically, have their way now in the offense, right? I also think, with C-Mac, hopefully, like, with RPO in the zone, they said that he might be ready for Sunday against a big matchup against Kansas City, for a big matchup against Kansas City. Trent Williams and a few others are limited in practice. They also might be playing Sunday. They're questionable, I believe. Unfortunately, Hafanga won't be ready for Sunday. I think Ward and Bosa may or may not be ready, for their groin and obviously the hand injuries. So I think around 7 players total, may or may not be ready for Sunday. Hafanga obviously, like, he's injured, because the concussion he sustained from last week, the debacle against Atlanta. So I'm just looking forward to, hopefully, CMAC coming here. He instantly makes the Niners contenders, right? He instantly makes the Niners, a team that can go, and obviously not only win the West, but win the NFC and hopefully, be able, to win a Super Bowl, right? The only problem is, with the defense being so banged up, the injuries, across, that side of the ball, as well as on the offense side of the ball, the Niners really have to get things together. I was talking to one of my buddies yesterday, about, who the training staff of the Niners is, right? Because the Niners kind of that debacle against Atlanta last week was just pretty much, it was pretty much, kind of indicative of kind of what a team missing its defensive captain and some of its key starters, right, on the defensive side of the ball, really looks like. I mean, they're really limited without Nick Bosa. They're limited without Ward, right? So Charvarius Ward is sorry, the other injury who's probably not going to be ready for Sunday. Not practicing this week. So obviously, like, without Hafanga, without Ward, that secondary is very, very vulnerable. Especially against the offense like the Chiefs, who likes to spread the ball. It's going to be a very difficult, going, in my opinion. Well, maybe not so much anymore, right? Depends on how well, C-Mac can click and how well the offense can be. We're still limited by Jimmy, right? So ultimately, with that said, I'm looking forward to hopefully, it's Christian McCaffrey having instant impact. I think the Niners have a potential to go and win, obviously 11, maybe even 12 games, depending on how well they can play and how healthy they can get, from here on out. Unless we lose Sunday, right, 3-4, then that may or may not be as likely, right? Because if we do go 3-4 Sunday, that means we have to go 8-2 down the stretch. Sorry, is my math right? Is 8-2? Yeah, it's 8-2 down the stretch, or 9-1, which is a pretty tall task. Regardless of what the strength schedule is after the bye. But I do think it does make the Niners instantly better. And I'm looking forward to seeing, what Christian McCaffrey can bring to the Niners. Obviously, his dad, Ed McCaffrey, was on the Niners back in the Super Bowl year. Last year when his future head coach Mike Shanahan was with the Niners as offensive coordinator. And obviously, then he followed Mike, to Denver, won 2 more Super Bowls. So, there is some history with CMAC here. I'm sure that when he gets his press conference, he's going to be talking about all that. He already met with Kyle last night, and so I mean, CMAC's getting over inundated, but I'm hoping that this is going to be something that's not just a great move on paper. I'm hoping that CMAC can also stay healthy and bring some instant value to the Niners, and I do hope and I do project that he will. Um, Moving on to fantasy, this last week, I lost in my other league. I'm basically, God, started 3-0 and I've lost three, and I could have won, had I had made some key roster moves, but it is what it is. But in this league right here, right, this league right here, let's go kind of move over, right? So my ESPN Plus league, I continue my win streak. I've won 2 straight. I'm looking forward to hopefully, moving on, that, I mean, I really hope that, I can keep this momentum going. One of the unfortunate kind of things about, this league, which is kind of bogus, is that, obviously the Cardinals won yesterday against the Saints, right? That was a pretty interesting. It was a great game, right? Dalton obviously throwing the pick at the end. But this league, the 3-3, league, I basically had Benjamin from the Cardinals starting yesterday, but for some reason it showed him as on a bye. And then when I basically, looked again and I put him on my bench, he basically had 23 points. I'm not sure what the glitch was. So, anyways, now I'm basically probably going to lose this week in fantasy. But ultimately, I'm looking forward to hopefully depending on how Lamar plays, depending on how other key guys on my team play. Obviously Devontae. After that debacle, right? Hopefully he can play well. The Braves are 1-4. Hopefully other guys can get going. I'm going just strictly off the projections, and so that may or may not be, I may be married to that. Sometimes the projections are way off by ESPN fantasy. So, I'm just hoping that my guys can get going. Let me just kind of go through some more kind of numbers. So last night's game, obviously, let's see, was it 42-38? I apologize. I only caught a bit of it because I was out due to a work engagement. Let me see. Cardinals. Yep, 42-34. So, yeah, what was it? Andy Dalton, right? He's the lead quarterback. Taking a while for me to load. Yeah, I guess the long story short, let's see if it can. Let's go my fantasy. I'm not going to focus too much on last night's game. Obviously, the Cardinals are 3-4, and we might be joining them depending on how we do against Kansas City Sunday. But hopefully, we can win that game. Okay, so yeah, I basically made the roster moves. I benched let's see. So Geno Smith. So in my ESPN Plus league, this league right here, Kirk Cousins and Jalen Hurts are both on a bye. I basically dropped Cousins and I'm starting Geno Smith this week against the Chargers. He may or may not have a good game. He's the best quarterback available. Derrick Henry. Let's see. Michael Carter, T. Higgins, Juju Smith-Schuster, David Njoku, Jalen Waddle, Chicago defense special teams, and Daniel Carlson. May change the special teams, we'll see, but it's pretty much a toss at this point. Going up against Russell Wilson, Allison Eckler, Joe Mixon, AJ Brown, Chris Godwin, Albert Bunum. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. And my name's not easy either, so I sympathize. Curtis Samuel, Jacksonville defense special teams, and Brandon McManus. So I'm looking forward to hopefully we can just keeping this momentum going in my ESPN Plus league. It was funny because someone proposed a trade. You want to trade me Kyle Pitts, Tom Brady, some other player for Derrick Henry, and I basically said hell no because a few of my buddies, if you guys watching this on Twitter, posted on Twitter, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, what do my fantasy people think? And I was like, yeah. And two of my buddies commented, and they said, yeah, no, don't do that. Let's see my other league. So Gridiron don't stop. So yeah, I'm really upset that, for some reason, let me get out of here. That, freaking Benjamin. Oh, perfect. Okay, I got the points. Okay, so I'm 23.3 points so far with Benjamin, because he was starting for me yesterday. Okay, perfect. Okay, never mind. I'm not. So if I lose this week, it's not because of Benjamin. So I have no excuses if I lose. So yeah, let's see. So Benjamin, Lamar Jackson, Raheem Mostert, Devontae Adams, Christian Kirk, George Kittle, Michael Pittman Jr., defense special teams, and Justin Tucker. Going up against Joe Burrow, Saquon Barkley, Damian Pierce on the Raiders, Brandon Cooks, Curtis Samuel. I'm playing Curtis Samuel in 2 leagues. I don't know. I mean, is he really that good? Let's see. Yeah, he's pretty solid. He's averaged around, he had 22.9 point game back in week 2. Hopefully he doesn't have that against Green Bay because Green Bay's looked awful this year. Zach Ertz only had 6 points yesterday, thank God. So Mike Evans, New England defense special teams, Evan McPherson. So yeah, I think it's a pretty even matchup. Hopefully, I think that, if my guys can get going, not just Benjamin, but, obviously Lamar can get going against Cleveland. If Devontae can get going, up against Houston. It was a good defensive team. I don't know if Christian Kirk will have anything to do against the Giants because the Giants look so great this year. Considering benching him for Marquez Valdes-Scantling, but Marquez hasn't even done anything this year. Obviously against the Raiders, he put up big numbers for me. He got me 15 points, but outside of that, he's had pretty much single digit performance PPR wise this entire season. So, I'm probably not going to do anything there. Irv Smith Jr. is on a bye, and I think he had a pretty big game last week. Last week he had 10.7 points. I mean, it wasn't a big game, but 10.7 points still better than Kittle because Kittle overall actually, hold on, no, Kittle last week had 16.3 points. Okay, yeah. So I mean, I didn't lose because of Kittle last week. Kittle actually came through. Go Niners. So, but yeah. I mean, I was thinking about benching the San Francisco defense special teams. Let's see, my league, the top available defense special teams right now. The Raiders, the Bengals, the Jets. I think the Jets are more the most favorable one for me right now. Jaguars is also available too, huh? There's a lot of defense special teams, pretty premier Titans. So, there may be an opportunity for me to make some changes there. I apologize. That's my ESPN Plus league. Let me check my other league when my Niners are starting. Yeah, nope, that's right. Nope, that's the ESPN, the normal ESPN league where I've lost 3 straight. So hopefully my losing streak comes to an end this week. And then I can get back on the winner circle. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm on 2-game win streak in ESPN Plus. Yeah, this one obviously won 3-0, lose 3 straight. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm basically the Miami Dolphins at this point. But yeah, I think the Niners now, I mean, moving forward, obviously after this week in Kansas City, we have to go on the road to Los Angeles and SoFi, and win over there. I mean, they beat the Panthers, but I do think the Rams they look vulnerable. So hopefully, if we can win, if we can, I don't know if we're going to win in Kansas City. I mean, I really don't, I mean, I hope we can just even be competitive against Kansas City at this point, but hopefully if the guys are healthy, in time, for the Los Angeles Rams game, then there'll be a lot to be excited for. But I think, if there's anything else, let me just check out the week 2. Oh, yeah, let me do my picks and then we can wrap it. So 1 second. So let's see. Not week 2. I think we're in week 7, right? Yeah. And then so let's see. Recapping week 6, where I was right, where I was wrong. Okay, I was wrong picking the Bears against the Commanders, wrong picking the Niners against the Falcons, wrong picking the Browns against the Patriots, wrong picking the Packers against the Jets. I was wrong with the Jaguars against the Colts. God, I had a bad week. I was right picking the Vikings over the Dolphins. I was right picking the Bengals over the Saints. That was a great game. I was wrong picking the Ravens over the Giants, wrong picking the Buccaneers over the Steelers, right picking the Rams over the Panthers, wrong picking the Cardinals over the Seahawks, right picking the Bills over the Chiefs. Great game, by the way. Great game by 2 great quarterbacks. Right picking the Eagles against the Cowboys, and I was right picking the Chargers over the Broncos. So, yeah, I want to actually talk about the Bills Chiefs game. I mean, holy crap, what a great game. I mean, sheesh. I mean, let me actually look at the box score. I forgot. Yeah, so Josh Allen, 27 of 40, 329 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, is he not your MVP? Like, I mean, come on. Patrick Mahomes, comparable numbers, 25, 40, 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 33 yards rushing. Juju Smith-Schuster, did I actually play him or was I stupid enough to leave him on my bench? I think I may have left him on my bench last week. Let me go back into my league and double check because I keep forgetting which league I have Juju. Yeah, nope. Did I play him? And he is no, I did not play him last week, I think, and I still won. So he was on my ESPN Plus league and I still won. By what? By 20 points almost. My team is loaded. Yeah, he basically put up 113 yards, a touchdown. Travis Kelce, 8 receptions for 108 yards. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously Stephon Diggs on my on my ESPN Plus league, 10 receptions for 148 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, great performance from him as well. I think Josh Allen's the MVP of the league. I think the Bills are the best team. The Bills and the Eagles is a toss up at this point. Obviously, the Eagles had a great showing against Dallas Sunday night. It's really, I think the Eagles and the NFC, until Niners can show otherwise on offense, and I think the Bills and the AFC are the 2 best teams in the NFL right now. But so let's see what happens. I mean, I think hopefully the Niners can get, something going. But let's go ahead. We'll go into our picks and pick them for this week, for week 7, and we'll make our picks. So let's go ahead and pull up week 7, ESPN. Oh, by the way, I also got an award, best podcaster award for my work. I'll go ahead and share that in a bit. So one sec. Okay, so Okay, so let's make our picks. Saints or Cardinals, I didn't pick that game, so that was unfortunate. Bengals over Falcons, Cowboys over Lions. I'm picking the Titans over the Colts. I am picking the Packers over the Commanders. Could be wrong there. Picking the Bucks over the Panthers. Picking the Giants over the Jaguars. The Ravens over the Browns. The Jets over the Broncos. The Raiders over the Texans. Chargers over Seahawks. Niners over Chiefs. Gonna be wrong there. Probably. Dolphins over Steelers. And then Bears over Patriots. No, sorry, Patriots over Bears. So those are my picks for the week 7. Um, and so yeah, I mean last week. So overall, right now I'm 55-38. So I dropped from the 4,000 ranking to the 33,000 based on last week's horrible showing. So still a nice 6.3% top. So far, accumulate 550 points. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully things can get going and but anyways, so those are my picks for week 7. I don't know if Niners going to win. I just, I'm still a homer. I'm still salty over this loss. But yeah, anyways, hope everyone, if you guys enjoy this episode, feel free to share, subscribe. And yeah, I mean, I think if we can keep, the CMAC and the RPO and that type of offensive system going, I mean, obviously he's the number one option. And I know some fantasy owners have Jeff Wilson in their fantasy league. So, if CMAC is playing, then he starts, if he wins that starting job, I think it's going to be great. He's the best receiver that I have out of the backfield. And that's saying a lot, seeing how Tevin Coleman played, against the Panthers, right, with that tremendous sideline catch. And but C-Mac can just do it all. He's that multi-purpose back. He's probably the best multi-purpose back we've had since Roger Craig. So hopefully the Niners can win this week. Hopefully they get some momentum going. I just really hope that they can obviously win the NFC West and obviously finish with an over 500 record and make a deep playoff run like any other fan can hope for their team. One more thing I want to talk about. Obviously the Niners are honoring the 10th anniversary team, the 2012 Super Bowl team that lost to the Ravens Super Bowl. I saw some fans basically post that, why are they honoring this team? This team didn't win. I mean, ultimately, I mean, and then they said that fans are settling for losing. I said, no, I totally disagree with that. I basically, chimed in and said, that anyone who thinks that the Super Bowl team was a team that was not something that basically fell short by 3 points in the Super Bowl. I mean that team was a great team. And it was the first NFC championship we'd won in 18 years. And obviously it would have been great if we won the Super Bowl, but hey, I mean it's better to just at least everyone's opinions are different, right? Some people say it's better to lose Super Bowl and or better to not make Super Bowl at all than to lose it. But obviously being able to make the Super Bowl, gives the fans hope. It gives that because you have a chance to win it. It means you're better than 30 other teams in the NFL, right? Um, same with the Niners back in 3 years ago, right? I mean, them making that Super Bowl, and even though they came short in the end, we get to see a rematch Sunday. That's why I think it's an important topic to kind of touch upon. I think it's important because if you're a fan of the team, if you wanted your team to just be mediocre instead of having to worry about losing a Super Bowl, then are you really a fan? I mean, because if competitiveness and winning, obviously are the only thing in the bottom line, then well, then if every team that didn't win a Super Bowl, right, they shouldn't be celebrated, then hey, I mean that's your opinion, right? I mean, Niners haven't won a Super Bowl since 1994. And I actually had some pretty good stories with my dad, about the 90s and 89 and 80s Niners. But I mean, hey, I mean, if it's all about, I mean, I still take the runs, playoff runs, because it's incredibly difficult to win the NFL. And I'm sure many other players would agree with you. Those who didn't even make the playoffs or didn't even make the playoff run, didn't make the Super Bowl, I'm sure that they would all, agree with me as well. So I mean, it's different opinions as fans, right? I mean, obviously, like, the Niners haven't won a Super Bowl in over 28 years now. So, we want to kind of, keep that drought, kind of, break that drought. We don't want to keep that drought going. So, but I think everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I think for me personally, I appreciate the Niners being able to, put a competitive roster together and being able to give the fans something to hope and, actually cheer for. Having a squad like this is something to be excited for, and a few key plays and decisions, change the games and change the outcomes of those seasons. But hey, at least we were still in it. And, I think I'm not saying I'm settling, for not winning the Super Bowl. I would still want the team to win the Super Bowl. It's the bottom line, right? But I still appreciate what those teams were able to do to make it that far because it gave the fans something to hope for. So, anyways, this is pretty much, my recap of, this C-Mac trade, the fantasy, kind of recap for week 6 and, previewing week 7. And yeah, obviously, the Niners 10th anniversary team will be honored pretty soon. I think Sunday. I think that's why, the people were talking about that. And yeah, I mean, hopefully, it should be a good game. Hopefully against Kansas City. If the Niners can win, great. If they're able to keep competitive, even better. I just want them to be able to hang in there with the second best team in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs. So anyways, you guys, thank you all for tuning to this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it and see you guys next week.